Perfect.
All right, everybody, what's going on? And welcome to today's edition of SWACTalk. This is the show we cover the SWAC inside and out. I'm your tour guide around the SWAC C Wells coming at you. And today is our HBCU Top 10 poll heading into week 7, and also our point spread look ahead. So make sure y'all check those socials out, man, to keep track of the weekly schedule. Facebook is SWACTalk, Instagram SWACTalk, Twitter SWACTalk76. Also, don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to comment your thoughts on the poll. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And also hit that join button if you would like to become a member of the channel. Got a lot of good perks that we're working on. So if you want to join and be a member, hit that. Got 2 different tiers. And it'd be much appreciated. If you would like to just donate to the show and not necessarily become a member, then you can donate at the Cash App, $SWACTalk. Anything would be very much appreciated. So one last housekeeping thing, as I've been saying before, October is breast cancer awareness, and my wife, she sells jewelry for Park Lane Jewelry. She's asking for your support. They have a hope necklace that can be purchased with a $20 for only $20 with a minimum purchase, and 20% goes directly to breast cancer. The link will be in the description. That's our little note from our sponsor. And now on to our top 10 poll, man. Week 7 top 10 had a little bit of movement around the middle. Top stayed the same, bottom kind of flip flopped a little bit. Nothing too major. Only had 1 new team join, so we'll get to that as we move forward. Number 1 stays the same. That's the North Carolina Central Eagles. They remain number 1. They beat Elon on Saturday, 34-23. Continuing to win all of their games. You know what I mean? They won every game they played. They're 5-1 every game except for the FBS game against UCLA. They are undefeated against FCS competition and a D2 win, but they are playing good football now. You know what I'm saying? The only blemish is UCLA, which, you know, that is what it is. They start MEAC play in 2 weeks. So they start MEAC play in 2 weeks. So you'll start to see them make their journey toward repeating as MEAC champs. This team is a very solid team. They're pretty much hands down the top team in the conference. Not a lot to really look at against them. They are the team to beat, and they remain in that spot. Number 2 is FAMU. They remain at number 2. They are also 5-1. They beat Southern 26-19 in Baton Rouge in a very, very competitive, hard-fought game. FAMU continues to play good enough to win. You know, this team, I still don't think this team has played their best game yet, like a complete 4 quarters. Very few teams have done that this season. So just by me saying that is not picking on them. I mean, you could pretty much say that about most teams on this list. But this is a team, I feel like this is a team, if they play 4 full quarters, complete game, you know, very minimal mistakes, they could be the number 1 team. I mean, they're very, very good defensively, offensively. The passing attack, when it's clicking, it is phenomenal. They have a running game, but they have started to scale it back some, so they can be a more balanced team, I think, if they put their minds to it. But they are a team who can definitely challenge for that number 1 spot. And I really see number 1 and number 2, my number 1 and number 2 teams playing in Atlanta in the Celebration Bowl right now. That's my look. I'd be very surprised if those 2 teams didn't meet up in Atlanta. Although crazier things have happened. You can't put it in ink, but you know, that's just that's just my prediction early. FAMU is off this week, so they get to kind of rest and recuperate and get ready for the rest of the SWAC play. Making a jump from 6-3 is the Tennessee State Tigers. They picked up a big victory over Kennesaw State on Saturday, 27-20. If you know me, I love out of conference wins. So that's definitely a good win out of conference for you. Tigers bounced back from losing last week to jump back up into a nice spot back in the top 5 at number 3. They host Norfolk State on Saturday. I believe it's homecoming for them. So they've been playing fair. They haven't really been playing bad football. Other than that FBS game, they've been pretty much in every game, or they've won the games. So the only other loss really was Tennessee Martin. So they have really played well and kind of got themselves back into a good spot. They'll be moving on to conference play in a little while, in a couple weeks. So they'll find themselves in a better position to continue to move up. And they have some games that are very very navigationable, easy to get through after this week. So they should be able to hold steady on their spot for a couple weeks. Number 4, making the move up from 5, is Jackson State. They've been floating around that 4 or 5 spot for a while. Great first half against Alabama A&M. Jumped out, I think 35-7 or something like that. Kind of not, A&M put some points on the board. Jackson State, scored a few more, but they really, did what they needed to do in this game, and that was a nice win. Especially coming off of the bye week and coming off of the Bethune-Cookman game the week before that. So this was a really good win for them, and I think it kind of pushes them forward as they make their push toward the end of the season. They host Bama State for homecoming on Saturday, so should be another physical game. Bama State, they bring defense with them everywhere they go, but Jackson State should be in for a very exciting game. Now, Tigers are 4-2 and sitting at number 4. Number 5 is Hampton. They dropped from 3 to 5. They lost to Campbell 30-27. This is a very good team. Campbell's obviously not a bad team. They lost to Central last week, but this is a strong team. They're in conference play now. They play at Monmouth on Saturday. So we'll see if they can continue to keep that magic going as they get into CAA play. As they continue CAA play, can they continue to keep that magic going? Because they've had a really good season early. That's kind of defied expectations for a lot of people outside of Hampton. A lot of people have felt like the Pirates are a team that would be winless. Some people felt like the Morehouse game was the only game that they would win. They didn't win that game. They would they didn't win that game, then they would find themselves really kind of why did I say Morehouse? Why did I say that? And then the Grambling game and Howard really were some of the only couple games that a lot of people felt like they may not have, that may have been their only chances at wins. And now they are sitting here at 3-2 and still in good play, good in a good spot as they get into the stretch run of their season. Moving on to number 6 is our only new team into the poll. That's Alcorn. They jumped up from unranked to 6th, beating Grambling on Saturday 25-24. A very entertaining game. Alcorn scored late to win, held on. 2 turnovers late by Grambling, seal the deal. Aaron Allen has had a great 3-week stretch. Has been really, really good passing the ball the last 3 weeks. Running game still not there numbers wise, but the threat of it is always there, and you kind of feel like if that gets going, this team, can be very dangerous. I mean, they played 3 games in conference play. They're 2-1 in all 3 games. Were margins 3 or less points. So they have played a lot of close games, but they won 2 of those close games, including 2 straight. So they find themselves in a better position now, sitting in a basically sitting a half game behind Prairie View in the West standings. Number 7 is Grambling. They dropped from 4 to 7. Like I said, they just lost to Alcorn this week. But this team, this was probably the I don't want to say worst, but this is probably one of the few games that Grambling has played offensively this season that was not on the level that they've been playing on in recent weeks, and they came up short. Led this game for a good stretch, but came up short at the end. They're still a dangerous team. They're sitting at 2-1 in conference. There's still a lot of football left for them. They host Alabama A&M for homecoming on Saturday, so we'll see what the Tigers do against the Bulldogs. Number 8 is Howard. They are 2-3. They stayed at number 8. This is a team I don't really know where to put them. They don't have the wins, but they have, to me, they have a solid. They've looked good. They played a lot of close games. They played 2 FBS games. They lost them by a combined 13 points. I don't know. You can't move a team up for losing. You can't really move a team up for looking good. That's not to say that this is not a team that could be a top 5 team or anywhere in that position. But at some point you have to look at the record, and their record. Their record doesn't define them. I mean, all 3 of their losses are by combined 14 points. 3 games, 14-point difference. They could easily be undefeated, and they could easily be a number 1, 2, 3 team. But right now, they're 2-3, and they do have those 3 losses. So I almost feel like it's not fair to them to put them there. I know some people looked at my poll last week and were like, they shouldn't be there, but they're playing good football. They're just not winning those games. I can't punish them for losing FBS games, but I can't reward them for losing FBS games. So that's why I kept them at 8. They could, obviously they win, they move up. They play Harvard on Saturday. That's a good opportunity to pick up a win. You know what I mean? Out of conference road win against an undefeated team. That could really boost you. So definitely going to have eyes on Cambridge, Mass on Saturday to see what the Bison do against Harvard. Number 9, I have Prairie View. They moved up from 10. They beat Valley on Saturday, 31-21, which was, they did what they had to do, taking care of Valley and moving on. They go to Houston Christian on Saturday, so another out of conference game for them. This will be their final non-conference game. So we'll see what the Panthers do in that one. I couldn't really move them too high. I mean, I kind of flip-flop between moving them up and moving Howard down. But I still, like I said, I feel like I can't really punish a team for losing an FBS game by 3 points. Even though the team behind them won, but Prairie was able to at least move up a spot, so that's why I kept them there. This is this portion of once you get to like the bottom portion of a poll, you get a lot of you can do this with that team, you can do this with that team, and you really can't go wrong. This Houston Christian game is an opportunity for Prairie to pick up a win. They're 2-4. The Huskies are 2-4 and 1-2 in conference. So if you're gonna get a win, you need to get them in games like this. So we'll see. If Prairie can continue their winning ways and put together a win streak. Number 10. I put Southern. I bumped them from 9 to 10. They lost to FAMU 26-19. But they had an opportunity. We don't know how that drive would have ended. They may have, stalled out after, a couple plays. They may have threw an interception at the end of the game. but a baffling time management, play calling at the end of that game in the final 2 minutes really kind of changes the perception, changes, some things in that game, but not enough to say that FAMU would have lost that game, because FAMU probably still would have won. You know what I mean? Said if Southern would have scored, you still would have had the overtime period. But they lost. Regardless, they lost. But I thought Southern's been playing better um, than they had at the beginning of the season. The offense is still inconsistent, but the defense is pretty solid. The offense is going through growing pains. They're getting a bit better, but they still are kind of not where you want them to be. But I dropped them down and flipped them with Prairie View. So Southern's hanging on. You know what I mean? Another loss at any point, they're out. But right now, I think losing to the number 2 team by a touchdown is not enough to drop you out of the poll. My honorable mention teams are others receiving votes. However you want to look at it, Norfolk State is 2-3. They had a bye week this week. They played Tennessee State on Saturday. Good opportunity to jump back in the poll if they were to win that game on the road. Otherwise, they would start to stay on the outside looking in. The Spartans, they are they're in a pretty good spot right now. After this game against Tennessee State, they play Howard on the 21st to open up MEAC play. So they have some opportunities to make some traction in the polls if they were to if they were to get a win here this week, they would be able to start to make some things happen. Another team in my honorable mention is South Carolina State. They beat Virginia Lynchburg on Saturday, winning their second game of the season. They played Tennessee Tech on Saturday before they start MEAC play on the 21st against Delaware State. So this is an opportunity for South Carolina State to go to 3-3, picking up another win out of conference. It will help a lot. Tennessee Tech's 1-4. They're not they're not playing really good football right now. They're winless in conference at 0-1. They haven't really scored a lot of points. The Golden Eagles have scored a total of they've scored 47 points in 5 games. They scored 10, 20, 34 points in 5 games. They have not scored many points at all. 10 points is their season high. So if you're South Carolina State, this could be an opportunity for you to pick up a win. I mean, obviously you can't overlook anybody, but with beating a team like the Citadel, who you should have beaten, you did. Beating Virginia Lynchburg, a team you should have beaten, you did. This is a game that if you could win it, it can kind of get you going before you get into MEAC play. And like I said, a non-conference win never hurts. So that's definitely an opportunity for them. Bama State, another ugly win, this time against Bethune-Cookman, 19-14. The Hornets go to Jackson State on Saturday. Another game for a team with a win to jump into the top 10. All 3 teams in my honorable mention can jump into the top 10 with a win. If some things happen ahead of them. Bama State, they still have a lot of offensive questions. They still playing 2 quarterbacks. They still not really moving the ball consistently. Their defense basically saved them against Bethune-Cookman. They threw an interception late in the game inside their own 20-yard line, and the defense was able to hold Bethune-Cookman at the 10 and not let them score the winning points. So they need to find a way to score some points offensively. If they can do that with their defense, they can be a factor in the conference. But right now, they're sitting at 2-3, and basically, they need some things to happen in front of them to make some moves in the standings. They're 1-2 right now, so we'll see. We'll see how they look moving forward. They have Jackson State, then a bye week, and then the Magic City Classic after that. So 2 big games, and then a game against Grambling on the 4th. So they have 3 big games. Their next 3 games are huge games that are gonna make or break their season. So we'll see what the Hornets do. And that's our top 10. Like I said, give me your thoughts on, if somebody should be higher, somebody should be lower, somebody should not be in. It's all fluid and it changed, it basically shuffles around week to week. So let's look at the point spreads for the week before we get out of here. Week 7, gonna go over the SWAC games and any non-SWAC games that that kind of pique my interest. Alabama A&M is a 3.5-point underdog at Grambling with an over/under of 61. Both teams can score. Alabama A&M, they've been scoring a lot of points, but they've mostly scored the bulk of their points against D2 teams. They did score 30 against Jackson State, but a lot of those points came late in the second half. But they're capable of scoring. They have a running game. If it gets going, it can be dangerous. The passing attack can be dangerous. Depending on quarterback play. Grambling obviously can run the ball. They can pass the ball. Can Miles Crawley bounce back from that performance he had against Grambling? This is a good opportunity. Whoever defense can get enough stops is going to win this game. But I can see this game being a higher scoring game. Grambling's been playing a lot of games that they score in the 30s, the opponent score in the 20s, or something like that. So I don't have a problem with that. That spread is basically because Grambling's playing at home. So if this game was in Huntsville or a neutral site, it probably would be even. So I don't really have a problem with that one. Alabama State at Jackson State. Jackson State favored by 16.5. Bama State's offense is the reason why I don't have a problem with this. I don't know if Jackson State going to win by that many, but I can see this being a double-digit win because Bama State's offense, they have to start to click at some point. You're in week 7 and you're still juggling quarterbacks. You still don't necessarily have an identity. What you want to do. You have. This is the only team I think, probably other than Valley, that I can say hasn't had a good offensive game yet. And like I said, being 7 weeks into the season, that's an issue. And I mean, you played a few games and just have not scored a lot of points. So at some point, you have to find a way to score points. That's the nature of the game. You win by scoring points. And playing against the Jackson State defense that can slow teams down. I know they've been a bit banged up, but a team that can slow teams down is really going to make some things hard for Bama State. The defense is going to get the ball back for them. The defense is going to keep them in this game. But like I said, I don't have a problem with a double-digit margin. I think 16.5 might be a bit much, but nothing egregious. Over/under is 47. Like I said, I don't really think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. But I do think JSU is rightfully favored. Pine Bluff is at Valley. Pine Bluff's favored by 6. 44.5 over/under. This is probably one of the few games that I think Pine Bluff should be favored in. Valley just has not looked good. They lost to Delta State by a big margin. They've been beaten. Every loss they've had except for Central State is a double-digit loss. So Pine Bluff's been in a lot of that. Pine Bluff's been in every game they played, except for Tulsa and Southern. So they had a late field goal block against Tennessee State that kind of cost them an opportunity in that game. Late fumble against Alabama A&M cost them that game, and then they beat Miles. So I have a little bit more positivity on Pine Bluff. Going into this game. Now it's at Valley, so Valley always got a little extra oomph at home. Whether they win or lose, they always have a little extra oomph at home, and it's homecoming. So maybe that's enough to juice Valley to win in this game. But right now, with Pine Bluff coming off of a bye week, which is what they needed because they had a lot of guys banged up. Coming off of a bye week, I like Pine Bluff in this game, and I do think I think they can cover that spread. I really think they may win by 10, but right now I'm fine with that 6-point spread. Let's see, Lincoln at Southern. We ain't gonna waste a lot of time with that one. Southern favored by 32.5. If Southern allows Lincoln to score more than 7 points, that's a problem. If Southern doesn't score more than 35 points, which which the offense hasn't looked like it, but against a team like this, if they don't score points, then yes, there's a lot of problems. Southern needs to put the FAMU game behind them, and this is the first step in that. Homecoming, take care of business, move on. Southern, like I said, favored by 32.5, over under 50.5. Next, our final SWAC game is Prairie View at Houston Christian. Houston Christian's favored by 1 at home, over under 58.5. Looking at this game, Prairie View hasn't, they haven't been looked good in their non-conference games. That's something that you look at and you say, is this the team that they can bounce back against? That's a good question. Houston Christian at 2-4. They've kind of been all over the place. They lost. They beat Arkansas Baptist to open up their season 66-0. They lost to Western Kentucky, which is the FBS team, by 30, 52-22. UT Martin put 66 on them, 66-7. They beat Southeastern 34-19. Southeastern's not that good this year. I think they're winless. They lost to Lamar by 2, another team who's not that good. And they lost to Nichols last week by 31. So they're all over the place. They don't consistently score points, but when they do score points, they can kind of put up a few here and there. But I think Prairie View can win this game. Like I said, 1 point margin basically says that Prairie View would be favored at home, and these two teams are kind of similar as far as wins and losses. And Prairie View beat them last year by 10 at home, so I think the Panthers can actually win this game outright. Let alone beat the spread. I think they can win this game outright, and I think they will do that. But say 1 point underdog on the road, over under 58. I think it's gonna be a pretty high scoring game because Prairie View's defense hasn't really slowed anybody down consistently. And if they can run the ball like the Panthers can run the ball, I think that's going to help them in this game. So I think they have a good opportunity there. Just want to throw out a couple point spreads for some non-SWAC games. Hampton is a 9-point underdog at Monmouth. That's a conference game. This is one of the first big games that Hampton has. Coming off of a loss against Campbell. Monmouth is 2-3 right now. They're 1-1 in conference, so this is a good opportunity for Hampton to kind of bounce back on the road in conference. Definitely want to win your conference game. So if this team wants to continue the magic, they have to find a way to win that game. Howard is a 17-point underdog at Harvard. Like I said, Harvard's undefeated. They've been playing really well. They have a very good offense. They've scored at least 34 points in every game that they played. They scored 45 against St. Thomas. They put 34 on Brown, won that game by 3. They beat Holy Cross, who is another solid team. They beat them by 10, scoring 38 points. And they put 41 on Cornell on Saturday. So they can put some points on the board defensively. They give up points. So with a team like Howard who can run the ball, I think that can help them slow that offense down. I think Howard has a good chance in this game, but Harvard playing at home is a tough task, and the over-under is 60.5. So definitely looking at a lot of points being put on the board in that one. Norfolk State at Tennessee State. Tigers favored by 10.5. Tennessee State's been playing good football. Norfolk's been up and down. This is if Norfolk wants to make a statement, they need to win this game and spoil the Tigers' homecoming. So I think that's a pretty decent margin for Tennessee State. And finally, let's see, a couple other ones that I wanted to go over. North Carolina A&T at Delaware. They're 21.5-point underdog. Aggies haven't been playing too good this year. Just picked up their first win a couple weeks ago. Lost to Villanova on Saturday, so they're playing conference play now. Going to be tough for them. And finally, Tennessee Tech at South Carolina State. The Bulldogs are favored by 7.5 at home, over under 44. So, like I said, Tennessee Tech isn't that good, hasn't played well. So the Bulldogs, if they can win this game, which they're favored here, that's definitely a good thing for them. I did miss one SWAC game moving down this list, and this one is a surprise to me. And I don't agree with this spread at all. I don't agree with it at all. And that's Texas Southern at Bethune-Cookman. They have Bethune-Cookman favored by 10.5. 57.5 point over under. I don't agree with that one at all. Because Bethune-Cookman's defense has played well the last couple of weeks, but their offense has not played well in any game. Maybe against Savannah State, but the last 2 weeks their offense just has not looked good. They've been having some injuries on that side of the ball, especially at quarterback. So maybe they get somebody back who can juice the offense a little bit. But Texas Southern, even without Andrew Body, that offense still has a lot of talent. Darius Owens, Ja'Cory Howard at running back. You have Davis, Morton, and all those guys at receiver. Jaron Johnson at tight end. You have all those guys on the offensive side of the ball. If Jace Wilson can get those guys the ball, they can make some things happen. They moved the ball well against Grambling. I think they scored like 20-something points against Grambling. So they can score. Defensively, they haven't stopped anybody, but Bethune-Cookman could be good for what ails them because their offense hasn't moved the ball. So I don't agree with that one at all on any way, shape, or form. I would flip that. I would flip that 10.5 to Texas Southern because I don't see Bethune-Cookman doing much at all. So that's gonna do it for our show today. We'll be back on Wednesday with our Week 7 preview. Our game of the week is Alabama State at Jackson State. So we'll cover all these games, and we'll be back We'll be back on Wednesday. So y'all make sure y'all catch us then. SWAC Smoke Thursday live 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. Sunday Week 7 recap, and then Tuesday we back with the Week 8 Top 10. So full week of shows ahead of us, and we'll catch y'all on the rebound. Peace.